G'day mate, and welcome back to Capture History with me, Jetty, and I really do mean welcome back. It's been about a week. It's been about a week since last episode, and I feel like I should offer you guys two things. I should offer you a reasoning, a story behind what has happened, along with an apology. I'm really sorry it's been a whole week, and I'd like to explain why it's been a whole week. So before I get into that, can I ask a favor? I'd like to have a like on the video. Not so much because I like likes on videos, because I do really like likes on videos. It very much helps. But I'm hoping the algorithm might pick up the signaling that you guys are giving it and hopefully recommend it to everybody that may have missed the fact that the series has come back after a week hiatus. Because, look, what I do is when I finish an episode, I go about planning the next episode. And I'd already got episode 65, this episode, planned out. I knew what we were going to do, and I was having a bit of a performance issue. You may have noticed over the last 5 episodes or so, the performance of the game hasn't been great. And I do everything I can. Like, I intentionally lower the graphics settings if required. I intentionally run the game in, like, full screen rather than borderless, because it squeezes another couple of frames out of the game, like 10% or something. In fact, I even have 2 GPUs in my PC, one for actually rendering the game, and then a whole separate one for actually encoding the video that you guys are seeing here. I do all these things to try and squeeze more performance out of these early access games because they're early access. The devs don't generally look at doing performance passes and optimizations till much later in the development cycle. And I was chatting to the 2 devs, both Philip and Marek, and said, look, I'm having issues. One of them was save times or load times. It was taking me like 10 minutes sometimes to load a save file, which they knew about, and it turns out they were actually doing a patch currently on performance, and they were going to fix up the loading time, which is great. Spending a couple of minutes to load a game was not particularly fun. The good news is, after the patch that just dropped 3 hours ago, yeah, I'm chomping to play the game. It dropped 3 hours ago. We're already, in recording this video. We went from 3 to 4 minutes to load one of my saves down to 30 seconds, which is massive. But at the same time, they were telling me that this performance patch should offer a few more frames, like 50% extra or something. So I should move from the realm of 5 to 15 in different parts of the map I just don't look at ever to, well, into something a bit more reasonable. The good news is the patch dropped, like I said, 3 hours ago, and we're up in the 45, almost 60 frame area. The bad news is the patch was delayed for about a week. So with that out of the way, I need to thank you guys for the like. And we need to get in with today's video. First thing we're going to do is we're going to be naming this wonderful truck after another YouTube member. We need to name this truck after Robert, who has been wonderful enough to support the channel and promise to drive this truck until the island is flattened, which hopefully is going to be fairly soon. Next thing we need to talk about is, well, obviously, that mining tower. That mining tower is our coal guys. Our coal guys are out of coal to mine. We're going to get them to mine a little bit more coal. I don't actually know whether we're going to complete our goal of being 100% sustainable, because it's not exactly easy to do. In fact, I will actually mention at this point, and this is the point where you should definitely like the video, because, well, you'd like the Let's Plays back and it's not just ended suddenly. But in the next couple of days, I will be releasing another video where I've actually got a map. Somebody was kind enough to send me a map that is 100% sustainable. It's actually a lot harder, in my opinion, to get to 100% sustainability than it is to launch a rocket. Yes. Next thing we need to talk about is a lack of workers, as always. So we need to unpause another building, which is going to cost me a little bit of uni, because currently we have a uni bonus from settlement quality. Settlement quality right here maxes out at 1 if every single house is attached to a decoration. Unfortunately, I don't have a decoration here. Main reason I don't have a decoration here is because the garbage dump trucks aren't dumping the garbage quick enough. So hopefully that'll get fixed fairly soon, Mr. Dump Truck. And hopefully we can get a decoration in here and get that uni bonus back. Speaking of uni, I did release a video during the Let's Play absence of how to get uni and all the different ways you can get uni and what the maximum uni cap is. Well, count. Maximum unit income, that's probably more accurate, which I'll link up the top right hand corner. Also, don't forget, as always, pinned down in the comments below. All right, so with that out of the way, next thing we need to talk about is one of the updates. One of the updates and our power problems. We have power problems, you don't realize it, but we have major power problems. It's actually got a chain effect with a whole lot of other issues we're having. We have ghosted solar panels right here. You can tell they're ghosts now because they're white, like ghosts. And if I unpause them, they become blue. Blue means that I was going to say a bot, really it's a truck. A truck's going to come along and deliver the parts to build these things, which has been one of the other updates they squeezed in. Also, when you deconstruct something, it goes red. Also the scaffolding. Previously, I couldn't look at scaffolding because the frames just disappeared. They no longer disappear. Frames are doing way better because, like I said, the devs have added a whole bunch of little optimizations which have really added up on the game. So a little bit more solar. On top of that, I have another solar field over here that we need to at least partially build. Cool. That's about as partial build as we can get. And we're just going to have the trucks build the rest because I don't have any plans for the back of the island. So I figured we'll just dump them full of solar. We should talk about the Mega Dig crew. Mega Dig crew is still digging out the island. They have a small chunk here that they need to do. And then we're just going to send them to clear cut, well, right across, including around the nature reserve, the part of the, we're reserving these 2 trees. We're retaining these 2 trees. Yes, we're retaining these 2 trees in retaining walls so we can reserve them for later. All right, next thing we need to talk about is the sandpit. The sandpit, the great sandpit, is still getting bigger and deeper. And in fact, I actually have too much sand. So I'm actually going to have you guys go and put your sand also in the concrete build. Because that way I can pause you 3 and consequently you and save myself a tiny bit of power and tiny bit of workers. Next thing we need to talk about is belts. There's been a whole lot of little belts that have moved here, there, and everywhere. But one of the main things that has happened is we currently don't have any electronics because I moved copper. Copper's been completely retrofitted and has been thoroughly upgraded to all arc furnaces, which is both good and bad. We'll explain the bad in a little bit, but it's good that it's all now in arc furnaces. Also, it means that the electronics container got emptied because I've been babysitting the base for quite some time because we've had a couple of issues with supply and demand and power and workers and lack of steel and all those sorts of things that I'm hoping to fix in, well, the next couple of minutes. All right, next thing we need to do is we're obviously short on teraflops, so I'm going to build 2 of those. I'm also going to uni build that and uni build that, so it's over and done with. All right, next thing we need to talk about is it's sour water. Let's go over to oil. All right, sour water processing. We are not processing the sour water fast enough. We have this pipe here that's coming around here that is then splicing off here and bringing sour water into this balancer, which means we are prioritizing the hydrogen build that we built last episode. We process its sour water first, and then we have obviously the diesel only build in here, which it processes in its two sour water strippers. It processes its own sour water first, and then via magic balancer in there processes any excess sour water it can process. And then finally we have the main does a little bit of everything oil build that also processes sour water. We don't have enough sour water processing, so what I need to do is throw in another waste not want not build, which we're going to hook onto the hydrogen build, because honestly it doesn't really matter where it ends up, but it just needs to be built somewhere, and that should process even more sour water. Now, I did mention the patch. The patch was released 3 hours ago. We can see that it has a feature. It's a feature that, for whatever reason, scaffolding stays in as ghosts. Sometimes, not all times, because that pipe has its scaffolding. No idea. We'll call it a feature. But we need to put in a couple more sour water strippers, and that also means that we have more sulfur coming down here, and we actually are backed up on the amount of sulfur we can process. So I need to have yet another mixer to process more sulfur into slag, which is good because it'll go to the slag box, and then from the slag box it'll disappear off to, well, the ships to then be exchanged for sour water, which is a bonus to me. Next thing we need to talk about is fertilizer. I actually have a problem with too much fertilizer. I know, I don't believe it either. We have a 450 pipe coming up to here, which is then feeding into a splitter, which is feeding into the tank, which is feeding into the pipe, which is feeding into all the farms. All the farms were running last episode at 110, and I've bumped them up to 130, and now I actually have a situation where a 200 pipe of fertilizer is not enough to run all these farms. So what I need to do is upgrade, yeah, thanks for the flashing, and upgrade you. So we're going to upgrade those 2 pipes, which should feed, well, potentially 450 fertilizer into the first row of farms, and then hopefully that's enough to keep up with our fertilizer creation. Yes, plus we also have this pipe which comes into the second stack, which comes to these farms which were at 110. They've now been bumped to 120, and so far we're feeding all of them without too much hassle. Okay, next thing, well, we have so many errors. Construction parts, we're fine. Electronics too, we're fine. Spent fuel, that's the next thing I want to talk about. All right, so spent fuel, we're up to 4,000. I'm going to change you to full, and you can tell me when you're full, and it means I'm going to unpause that one and pause it there instead and remove that guy, because we're going to need to get the next spent fuel storage up and running for the time when it comes to swap across. Yes, okay, next thing we need to talk about is low supply of water. Actually, that's an easy one. I just need to unpause you. It's not going to tell me about my other low supply of water. Oh, okay. No, it's fine. All right. This one was low just a second ago, which is the one that feeds all the farms the water. But maybe that's been fixed with, I don't know, something. Water is getting very complicated. High supply of fertilizer, we will change you to notify me when you get to 50%. If you get 50%, we need to do something about it. Okay, electronics we know about. Household, no. Actually, before we jump into that, power. We are bordering on 101 megawatts. Now, I have, where are we? Here, I have the smart nuclear reactor. Now, the smart nuclear reactor is set to power level power production number 13, which means this is the last thing to kick in. The idea is when it's not sunny, i.e. really rainy, this guy kicks in, and the rest of the time it's running these guys and producing a whole bunch of water. The catch is it's not quite working the way I want. We're running this reactor in power mode far too often and not water mode nearly enough. So what I need to do is come back to this one which we were setting up last episode and build this power plant as well. So this power plant, well, let's go over this really quickly. I've rearranged a whole bunch of pipes here and reorganized some things a little bit, but these power plants, we have this row of 6 which all take their depleted steam and run it through the thermal desalinators to become water positive. Okay, these 3 power plants output, I think it's 72 water between all 3 of them. Yeah, it's not a lot. It's like 24 water a piece. 24, 36, whatever. It's not a lot of water. Not a lot of water is output from these guys, okay? And that goes in the tank. Now, these 3, on the other hand, based. These hit, see, right now, it's a heavy rain because the devs also updated that. We now get a symbol rather than a words of what the weather's like. These three reactors are water not positive. They lose water because they're running the depleted steam through the cooling tower, so they lose water. So the idea is these 3 create water, these 3 lose the exact same amount of water. In theory, we have a water neutral system, and the only thing I've done to sort of weigh the fates in my favor is these are power production level 8, these are power production 9. So if I get enough solar built and therefore these guys don't need to run, then the positive part of the power system keeps running. That's the hope, at least. In saying that, we keep adding more things to the power grid, hence we'd never have any power. All right, next thing we need to talk about is household appliances. Hang on. Was it you? Okay, it's you that's out of water. You've got to mark it for 50%. It's fine. You'll fix yourself in a second. All right. Steel. We ended last episode with not enough steel. We still don't have enough steel. I've been babysitting the system, but if we look at our household appliances and household goods systems, I've been letting them get a little bit low because we didn't have enough steel outright. So I have spent some time planning and spent some time fiddling and trying to get everything up and ready to get the next stage in and done, which is we need more steel. So I've put together, well, some steel builds because we needed more steel. And there is no way we're going to do things with the old-fashioned furnaces. We're going to go with the blast furnace, of course, the arc furnace rather, which means I need that storage box, and I need one of those. Okay, steel. We've been through steel before. It's not super complicated. It is essentially one of these builds, which doesn't have resources. Okay, balances in there. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh. Okay, so that's 10 of them, and if they're running iron ore crushed, 10 times 36 is 360. But if they're running iron scrap, because we have a mixed belt in here, being a balancer that's doing a bit of each, that would be 480. And we don't have 480. Well, we can't move 480 on the belt, which means I need to get a belt and run it from here and just put a booster lane into about there, let's say, just so we can top the belt up after a few of them have emptied the belt to make sure that we get enough resources to the last one, so the last one can run flat out. Minus 11 workers already? Really? Really? Okay. Let's go over here. Let's build another one. I'll unpause another one. Have you guys dumped enough trash yet? No, not even close. Great. Work harder. Dump more. All right, back to... Where were we? Back to this problem. Okay, so yes, we need to... Arc furnace. I need more... I need the arc furnaces up and running. So our plan is to get these arc furnaces up and running, and we need to do that with a... Well, we need more steel. And obviously, I want to decommission eventually the old blast furnace Mark II and replace them with arc furnaces. Now, arc furnaces do require a couple of things different. One, they're going to require graphite, which we've got a box feeding in on request for the moment, because that's the best solution I have for right now. We're going to get into that problem in a second. And then they have the cool cast and everything else at the front. It's pretty much the same as the previous build. The only thing I need to do is I need to plug in or build all those belts. I also need to talk about belt speed. So these output 24 apiece. 2 of them equals 48. We'll call it a 50. So if we call that 50, that 100, that 150, that 200, that means anything over here can't get onto the same belt because that belt only runs at 200, which means we need to upgrade you, plus I need to upgrade you, and you, and you, and you're a 60 belt. Well, you were probably holding up the traffic anyway. And I need to upgrade that one as well. Yeah, I need all those belts to run at least at speed 200. And then over this side, yeah, for the moment, I'm going to upgrade these to 200 as well. Come on, that little tiny one too. And that one, and that one, and that one. Okay, the last one can stay at 60 because that is plenty fine for that little build. All right. Oh, next thing we need to talk about is pipe spaghetti. Okay, so I have rearranged a whole bunch of things and upgraded a whole bunch of things. So we have all the copper is now over here. Oh, it's all running on arc furnaces. It's all running great. Arc furnaces need to have water cooling in, and they create steam low. Steam low, we're running through a whole bunch of thermal desalinators. Every single time we take 12 steam low in, i.e. how much one of these outputs, we get out 24 water. So we double our water by running it through the thermal desalinators. And I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I know it's a lot. Plus I've actually upgraded 3 of the glass smelters, just running recycled glass over to arc furnaces as well, which means I need 15 desalinators, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, and I have 2 spare. The 2 spare is because the exhaust scrubbers also output 24 low pressure steam, which means 2 of these is going to be required per exhaust scrubber. Unfortunately, I have 1, 2, 3, which means I need those 2 for that one, and those 2 for that one, and we're sort of okay exhaust scrubber wise currently, hopefully, because we just added a couple more coal plants, and a couple more coal plants output a couple more bits of exhaust, which comes in this balancer. The way we're handling our exhaust currently is, well, we're venting some of it, but I am routing the exhaust in both of these pipes. The idea being that a Mark III pipe runs 450, and one of these processes 180, so therefore 2 do 360, and 2.5 do 450. So I have 1, 2, and then a half using the first 450, and then this pipe comes into here, and in theory is going to run a half plus a 1, which now needs a steam output, which then needs 2 more thermal desalinators, which means copy. Is that going to work? Honestly, don't know. Copy, paste, sort of. If I run that into there and run that into there and run that into there, we should be fine. Okay, 2 more of those as well. Okay, so 2 more thermal desalinators cover this guy being built to cover more exhaust being processed. Means everything should be fine. Now, as said, these guys produce a lot of water. These guys, water neutral. Hopefully it just fills up the tank, and the tank does have an overflow. Should we just run one power plant and not the one that costs us water? In theory, if it has any issue and needs to overflow, it's going to overflow into this one. Because we have so many of these now, all producing water, we're actually past a full water pipe. We're actually onto a water pipe and a half. In fact, I may need to... I think I definitely need to... See little red boxes when you destroy things. Very, very nice. Okay, can I... Come on, destroy faster. Plug that in there. Yeah, we'll just that might be, it should be okay. We'll see. I might have to come back and tweak this more later. I need to make sure that it has an output. So yes, we're pulling a lot of water out of the system, which means I need 2 water pipes to move all the water through the system. We have, if we look at this balancer, we have a primary pipe and a secondary pipe. It just simplifies the logic if I need to look at things later, knowing I have a primary with a backup. So the primary and the backup come into this balancer. This balancer does things with water. It fills in this tank. This tank runs all the arc furnaces, and then, where are we? Runs the excess water out of the balancer in, again, a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary. Territory? Yep. Actually, no. The other primary comes into these guys. The excess comes into this balancer. This balancer runs the primary into this tank, which is now where we're doing all our acid. All our acid for all the copper, also all the glass. It was in here somewhere. It's all been rearranged. It's all been moved over here. Which then means the rest of the water comes out these 2 pipes under here over to this balancer. I know we're moving balancer to balancer to balancer because water is very important. In fact, actually, in looking at that base I did mention, which is 100% has reached 100% stability. Water was actually my biggest question because it seemed to be my most difficult thing to get. In fact, I'm actually thinking about the water saver edict is probably one of the most powerful edicts there are because water, I'm using 7k per month, 7,000 per month. That's a massive amount of water. Anyway, water comes into this one. It's prioritized into this tank. This tank is required for all the cool casters. The rest of the water comes into this balancer. This balancer runs it into this tank, which then runs it into these guys who don't have iron. Oh, really? I didn't build that. Bad JD. Okay. Run into these guys. Well, runs into this tank, which then runs the arc furnaces. Okay. Arc furnaces take in water-cooled furnaces, and then output low-pressure steam. The low-pressure steam comes into, you guessed it, more desalinators. And I decided, rather than building the desalinators over on the other side of the map with all the other desalinators, I would follow this pipe. Cool. I would build them right here beside steel. It's just going to make my life a little bit easier keeping track of what's where and what's doing what. I'm going to need 2 of these guys to process 2 of these guys. But if I could get these guys up and running and actually turned on, this hopefully gives me enough steel to keep things running. Hopefully. So yes, we need 2 of these guys up and running to cover that steam. Okay, which means its water is going to come back into the same balance chain and then continue down the way. One of the pipes, the primary pipe, comes over to here and goes into this balancer. This balancer prioritizes out back to this tank that was complaining earlier that it's not full. Main reason it does that is this is the original steel build, which is technically water negative. We recover some water by scrubbing the exhaust and running through that through thermal desalinators, but every single cooled caster requires 12 water per per minute, which is a lot of water. Actually, do I want to... So why are you not upgraded? Oh, because you were level 1s. That's right. Okay, we need to upgrade those a second time. Yeah. All right. So, yes, water runs that way. The second water pipe, this one. Oh, actually, no, balancer. It prioritizes into the steel. If it can't go to steel, it comes to this pipe. This pipe brings it over here, which runs it into what was one of the water sources for oil. Because of the sheer amount of sour water we're processing now, I actually don't think... What are you maxed out on? Are you short on oil, are you? Technically, we need a second oil pipe. Or a third oil pipe. Actually, across here I'd need... Maybe I do, maybe I don't. We have too much heavy. Huh? Oh, we have too much steam. Because I never did something about prioritizing the steam out of the system. Yeah. Yeah, the plan was to take this steam and run it into these as well. I haven't got there yet. All right, what was I saying? Yes, because of the sheer amount of sour water we're processing, every single time you process 36 sour water, you get back 24 clean water. So not only are we disposing of slag, we're getting fertilizer. We're also at the point where we're pretty much water neutral on our oil processing. Not quite, but close. So, like I said, pipe jumps over to there, goes into that build, should we need to. Next thing we need to talk about is the other pipe. This is the overflow pipe. The overflow pipe comes through here, runs 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 through to the smart reactor. The smart reactor and dumps into the smart reactor's buffer tank or backup tank. Backup tank, whatever. Runs into there, and of course that runs off to these 3 pipes here, which run up to the farms, which then run into... Come on. Aha. Run into our majestic little 8x8 balancer, which I still, every single time I look at it, think it looks like a spider. It runs into here, it's prioritized fed in on these, and then runs out to all the farms. It keeps the farms very wet. Wet farms are the best farms, although power going down is not a good sign. Why is power going down? I'm willing to bet it is... No, wrong pipe. Definitely wrong pipe. Can you guys not output exhaust? Oh, what? Coal shortage. No. Water shortage. No. No idea. Maybe it's not this power plant. Maybe this power plant's perfectly fine. Yeah, you're all above the red line, so power's there, it's fine. No idea. Oh, it's just solar. It's just solar as different times of day kicking. All right. So yes, we've got these guys up and running still. They produce water. Water is going to be very important to everything. So these guys are up and at least started, and their slag and everything else ducts under here, through here, into, well, the limestone, the iron ore, and the slag buckets. But the one important thing that these guys now need is graphite. Now, graphite we can get from a number of ways. One of the ways we are getting it currently is machines like this, which are taking the excess CO2 out of things like exhaust scrubbers and processing it straight into graphite, which means we remove pollution and we get fuel. Bonus. But, we did set up that little build, but I need more. I need a lot more, because we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and I've got room for more. We'll get to those later. 9, let's go with 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and they need 3 each, which means 26 multiplied by 3 means I need about 78. About 78 graphite per minute. Currently, I have 6 of these guys running on this particular recipe, which means we're making 6 by 6, which is 36, which means we're about halfway. I also have, buried over the back here, 2 of the old-fashioned runs running this recipe, which is having an issue with your sour water processing. which is having an issue with sulfur. What? Which is having an issue with limestone. Double what? How does limestone get here? Oh, it's a case of good old belt not fast enough. I think we can fix that. Upgrade. Okay, and how much do you need each? 6. So that is 6 of them, 36, and the belt's going to come in at a speed of at least 60. That's fine. Technically a lot faster, but that's fine. Okay, so that fixes that problem. That hopefully processes the sulfur. That hopefully processes sour water. But yes, I have these two over here. These two over here, which are running the other recipe, which requires coal in plus a touch of chlorine to give me 12 graphite. If these two are running as well, we go from 36 plus 12 and 12, which is 48, 60. We're getting there. We're getting there. But I need more. I need more. So what I want to do is I want to make a hybrid system. I like this idea of these guys. They're very good as a backup if we suddenly chew through all the CO2, but I want a better long-term hybrid solution. So that's exactly the first thing I want us to do. I want to change the priority from you to you. Yep, so we're going to empty that container. I want to remove you, and who else am I missing? You and you. Cool. With all that scheduled to be deleted, we can just throw uni at the problem as always. Hello? Yes, okay. Throw uni problem and delete all that, because what I want to do is I want to change this system over from just running the graphite recipe to possibly running something a little bit more complicated, which means I want to pause you and I want to copy you and move you over to about here, and I'm going to hit the delete button on it, because if I do that, hopefully a truck comes and picks up the graphite and takes it to one of the storage boxes that needed, so we can actually get more of those smelters up and running, because I need steel desperately. How much steel do we have? 500. How much people do I need to run? Let's get this first project done before I add another steel smelter. Okay. Hello, delete. Priority 4. 3. Yep, sure. All right. So what I want to do is I want to have a hybrid system, which means we're going to have carbon dioxide for graphite first. Also going to have a backup of coal plus chlorine for graphite and getting an output of sour water, which is fine because I have a whole oil processing plant right here, which likes eating sour water, providing, you know, the sulfur belt is emptied. All right, so to do this, what we're going to need is we're going to need coal over in that general direction, which means I'm going to drag the coal belt right upon the graphite belts. Come on, coal, and we'll plug that into here. We'll explain this whole build in more detail in just a second. We just need to find all its bits and pieces. You are empty. Whoop, that's wrong. All right, can I remove that belt, that belt, that belt, that belt, and that box? And well, I guess I wanted that belt built in the long run, and plug that into there instead, and run this into there. Cool, because I wanted coal on the coal belt, funnily enough. All right, and I need that to go away too. All right, with those two things planned, next thing we need chlorine. Chlorine, I left the chlorine pipe hidden in here. Now we don't need a lot of chlorine, which is good, because this chlorine pipe, trust me, doesn't have a lot of chlorine on it. I can add more in the future, which is probably what we're going to have to do. But for right now, I'm going to settle for just a little bit of chlorine, which we're just going to spaghetti through here somehow and plug into that pipe. That pipe's going to be our chlorine pipe. Okay, with that done, we're going to build that pipe. Now, chlorine, like I said, it needs like 6 each or something. And we have a little guy over here making 24 chlorine. There is a giant tank, so we have a good buffer. But I'm probably going to need a second chlorine maker. And chlorine just needs brine, which means I could probably move it closer. And as this whole area, actually, no, trucks still do get into here, but they don't get up here. So I could just run it straight across rather than having to run under the bridge and all sorts of other places. Yes. Okay. So that's the... You going away? Cool. Go away. Go away. Because I want to move this box back. So my original plan was I was going to have a whole bunch of chem plants running on this particular recipe. And then I was going to have a second row of chem plants running on the coal recipe to make graphite. And then I was going to use a balancer, which would have worked. Except I would have had 2 lots of chem plants doing the exact same thing, and 2 lots of power, and 2 lots of maintenance, and 2 lots of people, rather than 1, and potentially using one of the features inside Captive Industry, which is you can have a priority for a recipe inside a machine, which is exactly what I've done. I've got carbon dioxide at the top, making graphite, and if I don't have carbon dioxide hooked into these machines, then they'll swap across to this recipe, which currently I don't have carbon dioxide hooked in, so it's going to run on this recipe, providing I get rid of sour water. Sour water, we are going to... sour water, we're going to remove you. Yeah, come on. And I'm going to copy you. I'm going to come up to height 3. And that's now flat. And then I can take you straight through. And throw you on that sour water dump pipe, which should be able to process everything in theory. Okay, so because this is all they have access to, this is going to be the recipe they're going to run. But the good news is I still have a giant tank of CO2 right here, which we're going to bring this pipe up. And as soon as I plug this in here and actually get the CO2 running, then these will auto swap back to the other recipe, which is exactly what I want. I want an auto balancing system, which also means I want everything between there and there to go in. Yeah, we want to remove all that because I want to have all these running the exact same way on an auto balancing system. Rather than having 2 separate builds doing basically the same thing, I can do it all in one nice compact little build. So that's exactly going to be the plan. So either filling up, filling up, filling up. As soon as this bar goes green, it could run, and it's green. So it means this recipe is going to finish, and this will be the next one that'll run. And if things disappear quicker, we can get along with copying the builds. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take this entire build as is and press the F button to flip it, and we're going to plug it right there. Now, the only thing I need to do is, this didn't have a connector here, so I need to actually add a connector, and I need to run my belts. So we're going to run the coal belt. Actually, no, let's run it straight underneath the existing coal belt into there. You are chlorine, which we can run straight into, into there. Sour water's on the same pipe, so the only thing I need to do is grab my CO2, get it lined up, and plug that in there. And then technically I don't need that on the end, and I can uni that and uni that. Alright, so that's the next build in, and then I literally just want to go from here to here, not mucking around at all. And actually no, I want to build you here first, because I do need to do some modifications. I need to rip out that pipe, that pipe, that belt, that pipe, that belt, that belt, that belt, and that belt. And I just noticed that you didn't connect, did you? Nope. Yeah, I can't force a connector on there now. Come on, delete. Okay. Thank you, game. Thank you. Alright, so, yeah, I need to rip out all that infrastructure from that side. Well, you'll see exactly why in a sec, because I need to put that there. Alright, with that going in there, we need to extend the coal belt into the coal belt. And let's hook up the CO2, which will be... That's height 3. Height 2 into that one, plus height 2 into that one, and that'll at least get it started. We'll mass build and obviously not have enough construction parts to get it. Actually, no, you know what? We're going to run you into that port instead. Yeah, because I can. All right. So the only other thing I need to do is I need to hook in all the coal belts and the chlorine pipes. So we're going to have belt in there, belt in there, and belt in there. That didn't build. That didn't build. That didn't build. That didn't. Really? Am I that short on parts? Oh, you're one. I'm that short on parts. Okay, so you're sort of a priority. Can I... 7 parts. Lack of steel is causing issues. What we're going to do is we're going to pause you guys and not make any more construction parts because that's a lot of them. Side note, how's steel going? 400. Bad steel. Which sucks because if I don't have any construction parts, I can't fix it. Over to here. I need this pipe done, which needed bugger all parts. You also need bugger all parts. That belt needs bugger all parts. And that belt needs even less, I think. Alright, next thing I need to do is I need to move the chlorine pipe, which goes from you to you, you to you, and you I can do from the out, no, from the inside side, you into that one. Okay, so that does that, and sour water goes from sour water to sour water and done. All right, and yep, we got the other CO2 in. So now, if all goes well, I have, let's assume you're built. Oh, quick deliver, you are now built. All right, so I'm making 6 per row, providing I don't run out of CO2. So I'm making 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 per row, multiplied by 4 rows, multiplied by 6 per craft, which is 72. Which means, providing I have enough CO2, every single one of them is running, I'm making 72 graphite. If I don't have enough CO2, then they use coal and chlorine, providing I got enough chlorine, which I don't, honestly, right now, but if we fix that, they'll make twice as much, being 144, which means we now have enough graphite to keep all the existing arc furnaces running, which is super important because we're going to be upgrading and adding more arc furnaces in the not too distant future, like a lot more, possibly, maybe. But for right now, we have a working system. We are making a whole bunch of stuff. I have not doubled up the amount of machines that I was expecting to, which is great. Also means that I need to take the graphite on a belt and feed it over to, well, here in theory, to feed it in this side, and then feed it under the bridges, and then in this side. Also means that possibly I need to take my CO2 from these exhaust scrubbers and feed it back across and into, well, this. This would be ideal. Until I have to expand this system again to make more graphite, to make more things. Yep. We've got some stuff to do. But either way, I need to end this episode here. Oh, because we don't have enough graphite, right? Yeah, empty. Yep, because I was upgrading graphite, therefore there was no graphite, therefore copper started. Yep, it's fine. We'll get there bit by bit. But I need to end this episode here. As always, look, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for coming back. It was a little bit sad to not be able to play this game for a week. I'm really enjoying it. But the update was sorely needed. Having a lot more performance has made such a difference to how I feel about this game. Because playing around at 15 frames per second was just... it was draining. It was really draining. So big shout out to devs. Big thank you for not only a wonderful game, but getting the patches out just almost in the nick of time. It's a little bit late. Had I known it was going to take an extra week, I probably would have published the 65 this episode earlier, because it was basically drafted out. I knew what we were going to do, and, you know, I just was like, patch, a couple of days, I can wait. Anyway, with all that said, I need to leave this episode here, because next episode, we need to put down more arc furnaces and more quartz processing and fix the power problem, because 100 megawatts is a lot of power. It's an awful lot of power. Yeah. Either way, need to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. As always, do hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the very next episode. All right, bye.